In this video, we're going to be exploring an e-commerce market that is what I would consider a sleeper market, a market nobody's really thinking about that actually has a lot of potential and not a ton of competition. And the competition that does exist is doing over $1 million a month, but their whole entire brand is honestly not that great. In my opinion, it's a bit outdated. And this isn't to hate on these guys, but we're going to break it down. It's actually a brilliant brand altogether because of the market choice, the ads that they're running, and everything. But yeah, it's PvP out here when it comes to e-commerce, and I want to show you guys a niche here that is really good to take advantage of, especially if you're in this category. So the store is called All Volleyball, and although this is a really great looking store in some ways, at the same time, it's kind of outdated, at least to me. The logo looks a little bit outdated. They do have a YouTube channel. They have all these social media pages, but they're not really doing super well on their social media pages. They're not prioritizing it too much, which is understandable. You know, some of these brands have a lot going on and they just kind of focus on different revenue drivers. In this case, probably wholesale, things like that. But on store leads here, which is a huge database of Shopify stores, we can see they're doing $1.3 million a month. Now, is this entirely accurate? No, but it's a good baseline that we can use to judge a store's growth and overall, just market dominance. Here's the thing. The market for volleyball is estimated to be 260 million, which is not that big. Okay, I mean, that's a lot of money, but when we usually analyze markets here on this channel and on my social media pages, we try to look at it through the lens of an investor. This is considered a pretty small market. Some of the markets we look into are hundreds of millions, or I mean, hundreds of billions. So, this looks puny compared to that. However, these guys are completely taking over this market, right? I mean, they're doing over 10 million a year, supposedly given the store leads data. But I mean, that's a big percentage of that, right? That's a big percentage of the overall market. And that's what people always say is like, if you can take even just 2% of a market, that's a lot of money. And in this case, that's true. So let's dive into some of their products. Let's look at some of the things that they do here. Let me just go look. So they have a lot of interesting things. Like you can buy a whole team's worth of stuff. So for example, for teams and small clubs, you can get customized uniforms, which is very interesting. This is probably making a decent percentage of their revenue, if I were to guess, because that's not something that's easy to offer. That's actually a really good competitive advantage, in my opinion. But let's go look at the deals. Actually, you know what? Let's just look at women's and we'll filter by best selling. So the best selling stuff on their women's section is actually their shoes. So volleyball specific shoes. This is interesting. This isn't something I ever really considered, and this is why I love making these videos. I feel like I learned so much making these videos for you guys, or rather with you guys, because I'm making them for myself at this point too. And I didn't know volleyball shoes were even a thing, right? I don't play volleyball. Maybe you do, but this is exactly why it's so powerful to dive into these niche categories that you perhaps partake in, right? Maybe you're an avid volleyball fan and you never really thought about a business opportunity in it, but you likely know the niche better than anyone else. So it's really smart to potentially get into this category. Now, if we look at the balls here, I actually want to look at the best-selling ones here too. So they do sell a lot of volleyball balls, which is pretty interesting. Like, it makes sense, of course. You'd sell a lot of balls for volleyball. And then let's look at the equipment. I'm just trying to look at every category and see kind of what's getting the most views. So they have this volleyball net, which is pretty cool. Let's see the accessories. Let's look at best selling. So volleyball arm sleeves. And let's look at the men's. Okay, I do want to see if men's is doing pretty well. Okay, yeah, so men's volleyball shoes. And then let's look at the jerseys. I really do like this UI for browsing the store. I will say it's pretty good. Yeah, so the jerseys, they do sell a lot of jerseys where it's just a bunch of different brands, actually. They carry different brand jerseys on the store, which is quite interesting. So let's look at the landing pages. I'm guessing it's not very crazy. So yeah, see quantity discounts. Oh, that's nice. And then, they show you the fabric. They show you some of the other custom fuse stuff that, I mean, I guess that's one of the brands in the volleyball category, and then the reviews. So, pretty standard stuff, I would say, but quite interesting nonetheless. Now, if we look at their Facebook reviews, I'm going to look at their ads here shortly, because that's, at least for us at Academy Lab, that's one of the main ways that we drive growth for brands, from the 6-figure level, 7-figure level, all the way to the 9-figure level, which is pretty crazy to say, but it's true. So this is interesting though. On their Facebook page, you can see the duality of, I would say the duality of man, but this is a woman here. So the duality of humans. This person is like, I cannot put into words how impressed I am with this company. I will order from them over and over again for years to come. And then on the other side of it, this guy is like, rubbish company, F you and F your service. Wow. Talk about polarity, right? And I guess that can drive a lot of growth. So let's look at their ads. They have 32 different ad results on, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom, these are their oldest ads, which means usually that these are the ads that have stood the test of time and are performing well consistently over time. And as you see, they're all image ads, almost entirely image ads. Actually, this image ad format is really good. Story ads, so this format of 9:16, you can use Canva to make these kinds of ads pretty easily, honestly. Use Midjourney and Canva, and you can create some pretty amazing ads these days in like 20 minutes. However, one thing I would suggest is to keep things more centered, because then Meta can actually show this ad in a lot of different formats, in a lot of different placements, and allow you to reach more people, have more competitive bids in the auction, and just help the machine learn a little bit better, right? Machine learning is a very important component of Meta ad success. That's what drives the success with Meta ads. So keep that in mind. Now they're running some carousel ads for club packages. Very interesting. This is kind of what I was alluding to, that this is probably one of the ways that they generate a lot of traffic and conversions, because it's a big competitive advantage. But then of course they just have general budget or volleyball gear that you can buy. So save 20%. Let's look at these videos. We'll look at this. What's up everybody? It's Chris. It's Chris at the volleyball. So interesting ad. I wouldn't start an ad like this, because it's like, who is this guy? No offense to Chris, you're probably an awesome guy, but this is just not a great hook. So I mean, I get what he's coming from, but I would definitely show more fast clips at the beginning of the actual shoes. Let's look at this one. So let's see. Looking for volleyball shoes. This one's much better. Like, that's right away targeting the person that you're trying to reach. I would actually use a different font though, to probably make it a little bit more Instagram native or TikTok native font. I mean, these are very small nuanced things here, and I'm kind of just doing this as an exercise to see how we can improve brands of all levels. Of course, if you are a brand watching this, or even if you're part of the all volleyball team, I would love to work with you. Just hit us up at academylab.com and fill out our form, and we can do some sort of audit, help you out even just for free. If you don't want to buy our services, we're happy to set you off in the right direction. From all the data that we see, we literally see millions and millions of dollars per month of data, which is really incredible, and I'm really grateful to be in that position. And yeah, they definitely should probably post more reels, because you can see they're actually doing pretty well with them. So wow, this one has 700,000 views from September. That's really good. So yeah, this guy's a pro athlete. He's a pro volleyball athlete. And I guess he's just like one of the main sponsors of, or All Volleyball Inc. is one of the main sponsors, which is just so interesting, guys. This niche is so untapped, because you could just, I mean, again, I'm not trying to take down All Volleyball here, but the branding is just so outdated. I feel like you could make such a cool looking volleyball brand, like very modern branded, like just with one designer, and like a good Facebook ads person or TikTok creator, you could do some damage in this market. And that's what I'd love to find out. One thing that is very interesting about this store is that they're using Vitals. So Vitals is a pretty interesting app. I'm talking about it here because I definitely want to introduce more of you to this kind of stuff that can help you save money by just utilizing the suite of apps that they use just by downloading one app. So that's what's really cool is you can just literally buy vitals and get all of these different apps on your store that are going to help you be more conversion optimized, and that brands from all levels use. Literally, even small brands all the way to 8-figure brands, all the way to 9-figure brands. It's pretty insane. But ultimately, there's a lot that this brand could do to improve. But at the same time, because the market is so untapped, they don't really need to improve anything. And even just with what they're doing, they're able to take a lot of the market share, which is very interesting. And it just speaks to how powerful being in a blue ocean market can be. What that means is like a market where there's really no competition, and even something that's mediocre. I'm not saying this is mediocre, but even something that's just like not top level design, top level marketing can still thrive because of the lack of competition, right? And because of the market demand. Actually, as you see, volleyball is a sleeper market, as I mentioned at the very beginning, because you can see actually the trend line, right? So it usually pops off in August, which it did again this year. But as you see, like you can see the trend line starting to go up like consistently. And I've actually seen animes with volleyball involved in them. I could see volleyball becoming a big sport over the years and continuing to slowly inch upwards. And actually, funny enough, you can see that reflected in the growth rate here too. I love looking at these numbers. I just find it so interesting that, this market is estimated to grow in the next, 7 or 8 years by $100 million. And again, these are pretty good estimates. Obviously, nobody knows, right? It could be more, it could be less. But if I were to guess, it would probably be more, especially with social media, and especially if this brand, especially actually if there's more competitors coming into the market, right? Because competitors actually drive brand awareness, especially if they're really cool brands. Like if they can create a brand that like a lot of people would want to shop at, which they have, but that has maybe more of a modern appeal, man, this market is just going to grow even more than is estimated to grow at. So very cool. I love finding stores like this that are in relatively sleepy niches or boring niches, just because I think it's really easy to go after the shiniest looking markets, but man, there are so many markets that even at $200 million market, you can still create $1 million a month store in it, which is pretty unbelievable. And definitely a good perspective shift for a lot of you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you found my commentary helpful, and that's it. Peace.